Welcome to section 9.2. At the end of 9.1, I mentioned the quadratic formula. So we're going to talk about that and many ways that it can be used. So let's just jump in. First off, the standard form of a quadratic equation. This is really important. The standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So we have to have it. There should be a space right there. So it should be ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And the quadratic formula, like I said in the last video, is x equals negative b over plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now this a, this b, and the c are all based on this being in standard form. So if this is not in standard form, you cannot use the quadratic formula. So you need to have it in standard form to use the quadratic formula. Let me show you. So let's get into an example. Here's this. Is this in standard form? Hopefully you're saying no. So can you get that to be in standard form? Go ahead. Okay, so you subtracted 3x from both sides. So I get 7x and I subtracted 1. I now have standard form. So once we're in standard form, we need to ask the following question. What's a? Well, it's 1 because it's a coefficient of x. What's b? It's positive 4 and c is negative 1. So I'm just taking that is a, that's b, that's c. Using the quadratic formula, I can just plug these in. So literally, if I plug in the quadratic formula, I get negative 4. And then plus in the square root, I have 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 1, all over 2 times 1. Well, now it's just now that we plugged it in, it's just a chugging process. So now we're just crunching the numbers. So I can multiply things out. 4 squared is 16. I can drop these parentheses. And notice a negative and negative make that positive. So it's negative 4 plus or minus square root of 20. I can reduce the square root of 20. It's going to give me 2 square root of 5. But we're not done because I can actually factor a 2 out of that numerator. And notice I now have a 2 on the numerator and 2 in the denominator that are factored out, so they cancel. And I'm left with x is simply negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 5. So the quadratic formula is a different way to do this, similar to completing the square. So it gives us yet another tool in our repertoire. All right, let's do example 2. I want you to solve this using the quadratic formula. Go ahead and pause the video and try it. Welcome back. Hopefully the first thing you did when you approached this problem was you realized, oh, I need to get it in standard form first. So I got to subtract 5x. If you put the 5x in the middle, now it's in standard form. So my a is 1, b is minus 5, and c is 3. So now we can plug it in the quadratic formula, and I get minus negative 5, and then negative 5 squared, minus 4, 1, and 3, all over 2 times 1. Well, that's going to be positive 5 because negative, negative. Negative 5 squared is positive 25, minus 12. That's the square root of 13. Okay, we can't do anything more. We're done. Well, what about this one? Can you solve the quadratic formula for this one? Go ahead. Well, hopefully as you approach this problem, you realize that it's already in standard form. So my a is 4, my b is negative 7, c is negative 3. So if you plug those in, all the spots, so I get negative 7, negative 7 squared, 4 times negative 3, 2 times 4. Well, the denominator is going to be 8 because 2 times 4 is 8. Negative and negative is positive. Negative 4 squared is 49. And this, so this is 4 times 4, which is 16, times 3, which is 48. And the negatives cancel. Combined terms, oops, sorry. Combined terms are going to get 7 plus or minus square root of 97 over 8. And 97 doesn't have any perfect squares, so we can kind of just walk away happy. All right, what about this one? How would you solve this using the quadratic formula? Go ahead and try it. Welcome back. It's already in standard form in case you were trying to figure that out. The difference, so A, that's 3, but what's B? It's not negative 34, it's 0, because remember B is the coefficient of x. There's no x, just straight x, so it's 0. C is negative 34. So now we can take that, we can plug it into the quadratic formula, and we get, notice all these zeros, so negative 0 is 0. 0 squared is 0. Multiply that beastly thing out and you get positive 408. And that should be over 6. That's a typo. That should be a 6. Which, again, so that should be a 6 and that should be a 3. I missed that typo entirely. But this, the reason I could see I could pull a 4 out of it, because if you look at 408 are both, so I can easily pull a 4 out. Square root of 4 is 2. I get 102, which, by the way, you cannot reduce anymore. And we get here, and that should be over 3 again, and we're done. All right, so that is how to use the quadratic formula. I'll go ahead and start the second half of the video, and we're going to talk about how you can use the part of the quadratic formula to do even more.